Will Ghana bust its budget ahead of November's presidential election? French energy giant Engie abandoned its plans to build Africa's first liquefied natural gas plant in Cameroon. And Burkina Faso looks to boost local businesses and tourism in the wake of January's deadly Islamist militant attack. Hello and welcome to this week's Business Africa. I'm Takunbo Salako. In 2012, John Dramani Mahana became Ghana's president on the death of John Atta Mills. In the same year, he won an election to the post, but the campaign was marked by massive overspending as government workers saw their wages rise. Now he faces re-election in November and austerity is the watchword. Can Karuri and Jean-David Mihamle consider whether that can persuade voters to back Mahama for a second term?
Because they just think that
it is too close to call whether Ghana's President John Mahama will win re-election in November. But on one score, success is starting to look attainable. The government is on course to get through an election year without triggering a fiscal crisis. In 2012, when the country last went to the polls, the budget deficit doubled to one of the highest rates in Africa as the ruling National Democratic Congress ramped up spending on civil service wages. Politicians and economists say there is no evidence of a repeat of that spree this time around. Mahama has embarked on a pre-campaign tour to highlight spending on infrastructure, hoping that voters will overlook the hardships brought on by a period of austerity if there are visible signs of development. But market seller and mother of three Christian Ablata says she's not impressed by pre-election splurges, especially as her business struggles to turn to a profit.
Mama, President Mama, because of Yenti, Obi Waha, or so pewi, Obi Waha, so pewi, and San Obeya, Onusu, Obenya, Enim, Albania sa position.
The National Democratic Congress overspending in 2012 and a slump in commodity prices that followed have hurt Ghana's reputation as one of Africa's brightest investment prospects. Economic growth was nearly 15% in 2011 when prices were high for gold, cocoa and oil, but had fallen by 2015 to just 4%. Ghana was obliged to adopt a $900 million, three-year deal with the International Monetary Fund to correct a persistent fiscal deficit.
Inflation remains very high. It's still very high. It went up recently. The growth momentum has also slowed. It is not picking up as was expected. So we're really not doing that well. Government is really under a very precarious financial situation. There's not too much money. And one would have expected that government could have been able to at least borrow some money from the central bank to actually finance some of its budget.
Analysts say years of power cuts followed by high electricity prices, which were aimed at reining in spending, have hurt consumers and manufacturing and could lead voters to punish the incumbent.
The French energy giant Engie, formerly known as GDF Suez, has decided to pull the plug on its plans to build Africa's first liquefied natural gas plant in Cameroon. Construction was due to start early this year, with first delivery expected towards the end of 2017. But although there's growing demand on the domestic and export markets, the slump in global prices has forced the firm to halt its development. Jean-David Mihamle and Ken Karuri report.
Engie has announced that it has postponed plans of constructing a liquefied natural gas export plant on the coast of Karuri region, south of Cameroon. The project, which was supposed to be a liquefaction plant with a maximum capacity of 3.5 million metric tons of liquefied natural gas for export, has been suspended due to unfavorable market conditions. A statement released by the company said, and I quote, "As evidence across the world, prevailing market conditions are not conducive to developing medium and large liquefied natural gas liquefaction projects today. As such, the project has been paused ahead of the next phase of development, which involves engineering, procurement and construction tender," the company's spokeswoman said. The French utility and LNG player has been developing the project in collaboration with Cameroon's state-owned oil and gas company, SNH, since 2008, and they both completed the basic engineering design of the Cameroon LNG project at the beginning of this year. The project was estimated to cost up to $5 billion and is designed to produce liquefied petroleum gas for sale in the local market. The project also included a 170-mile subsea gas pipeline linking a series of offshore gas production platforms to the onshore LNG plant. ENGIE and SNH in 2012 signed an initial commercial agreements to buy natural gas with upstream operators which have access to the gas resources needed to supply the proposed plant in Cameroon.
Our final story this week comes from Burkina Faso, where local artisans are struggling to survive in the wake of a deadly Islamist militant attack 6 months ago on a hotel in the capital, popular with foreigners. Trade and tourism have been severely affected, and now a new government initiative aims to redress the rise in unemployment. Elvis Bow and Jean-David Mihamle report.
Burkina Faso's craftsmen are struggling with business 6 months after jihadist attacks in the heart of the capital, Ouagadougou. The attacks forced tourists to flee, causing a major setback on arts and craft, which employs close to 4 million Burkinabés, according to a report by the Ministry of Tourism. I am a bit scared because of the tourists who buy our works. If they are not here, everything changes. The report further indicates that hotel business owners have lost close to 1.3 million euros as a result of the terrorist attacks. Bronze craftsmen have stocks of many unsold articles. This year things are not moving like last year. If you could produce 136 works last year, this year you will only be able to produce 50 or 60. The government of Burkina Faso is in partnership with the craftsmen for the fabrication of works to be used in decorating public buildings and embassies. They are using this as a marketing strategy to enable their goods to be promoted across the world. We have bought 180 works in sculpture and painting. These works will be distributed among state institutions like the Presidency, National Assembly and Prime Minister's Office. We are also looking forward to decorate our embassies. In 2015, the state purchased for the first time artistic works worth 150,000 euros and has promised that the budget will increase each year. Sometimes the craftsmen think of throwing in the towel, but the high unemployment rate gives them the strength to persevere.
That's all we have time for this week. Please continue to share your views on our social media websites, and don't forget, there's always more business on Africanews.com. Thanks for watching and see you next week.